I spent the entire morning carefully choosing my outfit. Nothing too extravagant, nothing that would take attention away from the bride, my beloved granddaughter Emma. I even wore the pearl earrings Emma had admired since she was little, the ones she used to touch with her tiny fingers and say, "Nana, I'll wear these on my wedding." I held on to that memory like a treasure chest tucked deep inside my heart. It kept me warm when my relationship with my son, Daniel, had become strained. Not shattered, not broken, just strained. A pain that lived quietly underneath everyday life. But today wasn't about the past. It was Emma's big day, my first granddaughter, my little sunshine. There was no universe in which I would miss her wedding. When I pulled up to the venue, a grand white farmhouse decorated with roses and fairy lights, I felt a flutter of excitement. I stepped out of the car, clutching the small gift bag I had prepared. An embroidered handkerchief with Emma's initials, a family tradition passed down for 4 generations. As I approached the entrance, a young man in a suit, clearly part of security, stopped me. "Name?" he asked without much interest. "Margaret Lewis," I said with a bright smile. He scrolled down his tablet, his expression tightening. "I'm sorry, you're not on the list." I laughed softly, assuming this was a simple mistake. "Of course I'm on the list. I'm the grandmother of the bride." He shook his head. "Ma'am, I can't let you in." And then, like a scene in a movie I never wanted to see, my son, Daniel, walked out. His jaw clenched the moment he saw me. "Mom, what are you doing here?" I froze. "What do you mean? It's Emma's wedding." Daniel looked away, rubbing his forehead. "Mom, we talked about this." "No," I whispered. "You talked about needing space. You never told me I couldn't come to my granddaughter's wedding." He swallowed, eyes cold. "You're not on the list, Mom." My heart cracked. "Daniel, please." "Go home. Don't make a scene." I felt heat rush to my eyes, but I held myself together. "Does Emma know you're doing this?" He didn't answer, and that silence told me everything. I stepped back, trembling. The security guard avoided eye contact as I turned around. The gift bag slipped from my hand, landing on the cement. The delicate embroidered handkerchief, its white fabric glowing under the sun like a tiny heartbreak. I picked it up, brushed it off, and walked back to my car, the world blurring through my tears. I had come to celebrate love, but I was leaving with the wound I hadn't expected. That was the moment I realized something was terribly wrong, and I needed to find out what. I walked into my quiet home, the ticking clock on the wall mocking the chaos inside my chest. I placed the unused gift on the dining table, and for a moment, I just stood there, staring at it like it was a piece of evidence in a crime scene. My son. My only child. The boy I had raised alone after his father passed. The boy I had worked double shifts for, saved scraps for, sacrificed sleep and dreams for. He had looked me in the eye today and told me I didn't belong. What had I done that was so unforgivable? I sat down heavily on the couch. My phone buzzed once, a message from an unknown number. I opened it, a single line. "Mrs. Lewis, you should know what they've been saying about you." My heart jumped. Before I could reply, another message came through, a short video clip. I pressed play. It was my daughter-in-law, Linda, speaking to someone at what looked like a family dinner. She was saying, "I just don't feel comfortable with Margaret around the kids. She's unstable. She forgets things. She starts arguments. It's too risky to have her at the wedding." My mouth fell open. Unstable? Forgetful? Risky? I had dedicated my entire life to making sure my family was safe, fed, and loved. My phone buzzed again. Another message. "There's more. Meet me tomorrow, 10 a.m. at Clover Park." No name, no explanation. Just like that, The silence in my house became terrifying. Someone out there knew something. Someone wanted me to know the truth. I gripped my phone tightly, my breathing shaky. Whatever was happening, this wasn't just about a wedding. This was deeper, darker. And I wasn't going to sit quietly anymore. Tomorrow, I would find out everything. Like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories. Clover Park was unusually quiet the next morning. The air was crisp, the grass still wet with dew, and a few early walkers strolled by with their dogs. I sat on a bench beneath an old oak tree, clutching my purse a little too tightly, replaying the video from last night in my head. Unstable, forgetful, risky. Each word felt like a bruise on my heart. At exactly 10 a.m., a woman in her mid-30s approached me. She had a nervous energy about her, glancing around as if checking whether someone was watching. When she finally reached me, she offered a hesitant smile. "Mrs. Lewis?" "Yes," I said cautiously. "Are you the one who contacted me?" She nodded. "My name is Rachel. I used to work for your daughter-in-law." I blinked. "Linda?" "Yes." She sat beside me, hands trembling. I was her assistant for 3 years. 3 years. Long enough to witness everything. My heartbeat quickened. "Why did you send me that video?" Rachel exhaled shakily. "Because what's happening isn't fair, and because I think you deserve to know what Linda has been doing." Cold dread shot through my chest. "What do you mean?" She swallowed hard. "Linda has been telling people that you're mentally declining, that you're forgetting things, that you're unpredictable. She even said you've had episodes in public." "What? That's not true." "I know." Rachel leaned in. "That's why I'm here. I've never seen you behave in any concerning way. Honestly, the way she talked about you behind your back always made me uncomfortable." I tried to process this, but why would she do that? Rachel hesitated, then lowered her voice. "Because she wanted to distance Daniel and Emma from you. She wanted to control everything, especially the wedding. She's been telling Daniel for months that you're a risk around guests. She convinced him that inviting you could lead to embarrassment. Embarrassment. Humiliation. As if I were a burden." My hands shook. My own son believed her? "She manipulated the whole narrative," Rachel said softly. "Daniel trusted her. He thought he was protecting the family." I closed my eyes, feeling a deep ache settle in my chest. "Emma, did she believe it too?" "That's the thing," Rachel whispered urgently. "Emma doesn't know. She thinks you chose not to come." The words hit me like a slap. What?" Rachel nodded. "Linda told her you declined the invitation. She even said you told Daniel you didn't feel well enough to attend." Oh my God. Tears gathered in the corners of my eyes as everything clicked into place. The cold distance from Daniel, the lukewarm messages from Emma, and the wedding invitation I never received. Linda had stolen my place. My voice trembled. "Why are you telling me this now?" Rachel looked around again, then leaned closer. "Because Linda is hiding something else. Much, much worse. And before yesterday, I was too scared to come forward." I stared at her, stunned. "What is she hiding?" Rachel swallowed. "That's what I'm going to show you next." Rachel motioned for me to follow her, and we walked toward the far end of Clover Park, where a small picnic table sat under a willow tree. She placed her bag on the table, unzipped it, and pulled out a thin manila folder. My stomach tightened. Folders like that never held anything good. "I took copies," she whispered. I couldn't keep watching what she was doing. Who was doing?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "Linda." She slid the folder toward me. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside were printed emails, screenshots, and notes written in Linda's handwriting. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. It was an odd assortment: lists, reminders, drafted messages. Then I saw my name, over and over. Tell Daniel Mom forgot Emma's graduation date again. Mention Mom repeated the story about the garden twice. Act concerned. Bring up that Mom looked dizzy last week. I frowned. None of this ever happened. Rachel nodded grimly. She made it all up. I know because I was with her during those events. You never forgot the graduation date. You never looked dizzy. You told the story once, not twice. I felt my heartbeat thudding in my ears. Why would she fabricate things like this? To build a case, Rachel said. To make Daniel think your memory was slipping. To make him believe you couldn't be trusted at big events. That you might say something embarrassing, act confused, cause a scene. But I've never... I know, Rachel said firmly. That's why I quit. It felt wrong. I flipped to another page and froze. A drafted email Linda had written but apparently never sent. If Margaret's condition gets worse, we may need to consider limiting her time with the grandkids. Daniel will agree eventually. Condition. Condition. She made it sound like I was ill, delusional, losing my mind. My hands shook so violently that the paper rattled. Rachel, I whispered. She's trying to erase me. Rachel lowered her eyes. She wants control. Your son listens to her, and she wanted the wedding to be perfect, her version of perfect. No surprises, no unstable mother-in-law. A bitter taste filled my mouth. What about Emma? She loves me. That's the one thing Linda underestimated. Emma trusts her father, but she adores you, and if she finds out the truth, Linda knows she'll lose control. Suddenly, something inside me snapped cleanly like a thread pulled too tight. I stood up. No, I said quietly. I won't let her take my family away from me. Rachel glanced up. There's more. Something I haven't shown you yet. Something that explains why she's terrified of you being around. I stared at her. What is it? Rachel hesitated. It's about money. My blood ran cold. Money? What money? Rachel took a deep breath. Your son doesn't know you helped pay for Emma's wedding. Like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories. I stared at Rachel, my breath catching. I paid for Emma's wedding? What are you talking about? Rachel reached into her bag again and pulled out 2 printed bank statements, mine and another belonging to a wedding planning company. When I saw the highlighted numbers, my knees nearly buckled. There it was, a transaction I recognized instantly. 6 months ago, Emma had come to my house with tears in her eyes. She told me the wedding budget was tight. She said she didn't want to burden her parents with more expenses. She was embarrassed to even ask me, but she knew I had always saved little amounts for a rainy day. And she was marrying the love of her life. My granddaughter deserved her dream day. So, I transferred $12,500 to help with the venue deposit. She hugged me, crying and thanking me. She promised she would tell her father later when she found the right moment. But somehow, Daniel never heard about it. My hands trembled. I gave that money directly to the planning agency. Emma sent me the invoice. Rachel nodded. I know. Linda intercepted the confirmation emails. She has the login information to the wedding email account. She deleted the notifications before Emma ever saw them. I felt the world tilt slightly. But why? Why hide that from Emma? Why hide it from Daniel? Rachel looked at me with an expression that made my stomach twist. Because Linda used the money. I blinked. Used it? How? She used it to upgrade her own expenses. She booked a luxury bridal suite, a designer dress add-on, spa treatments, hair trials, and, well, she sighed, Things Emma didn't ask for. Things Emma didn't even know existed. A cold shock went through my veins. That money was meant for Emma. Exactly. But Linda had access to the planning portal. She quietly added charges and used your payment to cover them. I pressed my fingers to my forehead, feeling dizzy. And she told Daniel I refused to help, that I wasn't reliable, that I was forgetful? Rachel nodded. She needed a narrative that made her sacrifices look bigger and yours smaller. If Daniel knew you'd contributed more than his own wife to the wedding financially, he'd start questioning things. My chest tightened. My son wasn't greedy, but he was loyal to his wife. Too loyal. And Linda had weaponized that loyalty like a blade. But why keep me away from the wedding? I asked quietly. Rachel hesitated. Because you were a liability. A liability? I whispered, shocked. She was afraid Emma might ask you about the money, or thank you publicly. If that happened in front of guests, Daniel would hear it. Everyone would. And Linda's entire web of lies would fall apart. Everything hit me at once. The fabricated stories, the manipulations, the whispers, the way Daniel had looked at me with cold suspicion instead of love. Linda had orchestrated all of it. Slowly, carefully, cruelly. I clenched my jaw. I'm going to talk to Emma. Rachel touched my arm. Wait, there's something else you haven't seen yet. A chill ran down my spine. How much worse can it get? Rachel slid one more folded paper toward me, and when I opened it, I felt the blood drain from my face. I unfolded the paper slowly, my hands trembling. The writing was neat, almost childlike, and I immediately recognized the handwriting. It was Emma's, my granddaughter, my little sunshine. Dear Nana, it began. Tears blurred my vision as I read the first few lines. I don't know why you weren't at my wedding. Daddy said you weren't coming, but I felt a hole where you should have been. I missed you so much. I wanted you to walk me down the aisle, to see me in my dress, to tell me it was all going to be okay. My chest tightened. I could hear her voice in my mind, trembling with hope and sadness at the same time. Rachel leaned closer. It's not sent. Emma wrote it, but never had the courage to send it because she thought you were angry or didn't want to be there. I pressed my hand to my mouth, trying to steady myself. The thought that Emma had been silently hurting because of a misunderstanding, engineered by Linda, made my stomach churn. And there's more, Rachel said, pointing to the next page. This one contained a note from Daniel, a draft email to Linda never sent. Emma keeps asking about Nana. I told her she chose not to come. I don't know why, but we'll just leave it for now. My heart sank. Even my son had been manipulated, convinced that I had turned away from his daughter. The betrayal was layered, calculated, and utterly cruel. Rachel looked at me, her eyes filled with urgency. Linda has been controlling everything, from the wedding to what Daniel thinks about you. She even tried to block your phone number on Emma's account so you couldn't reach her. I clenched my fists. The thought that someone could orchestrate this much distance between me and my own family felt unreal, like a nightmare written in daylight. Rachel, I said, my voice shaking but determined, we have to fix this. Emma deserves the truth, Daniel deserves the truth, and I deserve to see my granddaughter. Rachel nodded. She smiled faintly, a mix of reassurance and worry. I've been preparing for this. I just need you to follow my lead. I took a deep breath. This was no longer just a story about a wedding. It was about truth, justice, and love, the kind of love that could not be silenced, and I would not let it be. Like, share, and subscribe my channel for the story gets even more shocking. The next day, I stood outside Daniel and Linda's house, my hands trembling as I clutched Emma's letter and the folder Rachel had given me. My heart was pounding, not just with fear, but with the weight of the truth I now carried. I had spent a lifetime raising my son, guiding him, loving him unconditionally. And now I was about to risk everything to reclaim my place in my granddaughter's life. I rang the doorbell. Moments later, Linda opened it, her smile bright but fake. "Margaret, what a surprise," she said, her tone a little too sharp. I stepped forward, keeping my voice calm but firm. "We need to talk, now." Her eyes narrowed. "About what? About Emma's wedding? About the money? About the lies?" Her smile faltered slightly. I don't know what you mean." I took a deep breath and held up the folder. "You intercepted emails. You told my son I was unreliable, forgetful, unstable. You manipulated the truth about the wedding payments. And I have proof." Daniel appeared behind her, his expression a mix of confusion and concern. "Mom, what is going on?" I handed him the bank statements and screenshots Rachel had provided. "This is what I'm talking about, Daniel. I helped pay for Emma's wedding, and she, Linda, took credit for it. She told you I wasn't coming and that I was a risk. None of it is true." Daniel's face went pale as he scrolled through the documents. His lips parted, but no words came. I could see the realization dawning, the confusion, the hurt, the betrayal. Linda's composure cracked. "Daniel, that's not what it looks like." "It looks exactly like this," I said, my voice steady but cold. "You told me to go home at Emma's wedding. You told me I wasn't welcome. And now I see why. You believed her lies instead of me. But Daniel, look at the evidence. You need to see the truth." Daniel ran a hand through his hair, silence stretching between us. Emma appeared at the top of the stairs, her eyes wide and anxious. "Nana?" she whispered. I turned to her and smiled, holding up her unsent letter. "I never left, darling. I was kept away. But I've always loved you." Her hands flew to her mouth, tears welled in her eyes. "I missed you so much." Linda's face went white, realizing that her control was slipping. "Emma, it's not—" "No, Mom," Daniel said firmly, stepping in front of his daughter. "It's done. I see now. The truth is finally out." Emma ran into my arms, sobbing. My heart swelled as I held her close. After months of silence, separation, and misunderstanding, this moment, her trusting hug, was worth every heartbreak I had endured. Linda stood frozen, and for the first time, her power over our family dissolved. I looked at Daniel. "I don't want this to destroy us, but I need honesty. From everyone. Always." He nodded, voice cracking. "You're right, Mom. I'm so sorry. I should have listened sooner." For the first time in weeks, I felt a weight lift off my chest. The lies had been confronted, the truth had spoken, and the journey to reclaim love, trust, and family had only just begun. After that tense confrontation, the house felt different, lighter somehow, though still heavy with the weight of what had been revealed. I held Emma's hand as we sat in the living room, the folder of evidence on the coffee table between us. Daniel paced slowly, clearly wrestling with guilt, while Linda stood in the corner, her face a mask of disbelief and shame. Emma looked up at me, tears still in her eyes. "Nana, I wrote that letter because I missed you. I didn't know why you weren't at my wedding. I thought maybe you didn't want to come." I hugged her tightly. "Oh, darling, I would never stay away from you. I've always loved you more than words can say." Daniel finally sat down beside us, running a hand through his hair. "Mom, I don't know how to say this. I believed Linda. I should have known better. I should have trusted you." I reached out and held his hand. "Son, you were misled. We all were. But the important thing is, we know the truth now, and we can fix it together." Emma sniffled and wiped her eyes. "Does this mean, can we have a small celebration? Just with family? I want you there, Nana. I want everyone to know it was because of lies that you weren't there." I smiled, my heart swelling. "Absolutely, sweetheart. We'll make it right." Linda's voice finally broke the silence. I didn't mean to. I just wanted everything to go smoothly. Daniel shook his head. Linda, that's not how love works. You can't control who belongs in a family. You tried to erase my mother from my daughter's life. That's not smooth, that's cruel. Linda didn't respond. For the first time, she realized the consequences of her manipulations. Rachel, who had stayed nearby, gave me a reassuring nod. You did the right thing, Margaret. Exposing the truth, that's the only way to heal. I took a deep breath. It was exhausting, emotional, and painful, but it was also liberating. For months, I had carried the sting of rejection, the confusion of being excluded from my granddaughter's wedding, and the heartbreak of seeing my son doubt me. Now, I could finally feel the first stirrings of peace. Daniel turned to me. Mom, can you forgive me for not seeing it sooner? I smiled softly. Daniel, I never stopped loving you, and I always knew we'd find our way back. Families fight, misunderstand, and even get hurt. But love always finds a way. Emma hugged me again, this time with a laugh escaping through her tears. Nana, can we take a photo together? I want everyone to remember this day, not just my wedding, but the day we all stood together and told the truth. As we posed, I realized something profound. The pain had been unbearable, but the reunion, the truth, and the love I still had for my family were stronger. I was no longer excluded. I was no longer silenced. And nothing, not lies, not manipulation, not fear, could take that away from me. It wasn't just a day of forgiveness. It was a day of reclamation, a day where honesty healed what deceit had tried to destroy. And in that moment, I knew. Family isn't perfect, but it is forever. Like, share, and subscribe my channel for more emotional true stories that will touch your heart.